Now we'll move on to 12.2. Authorize staff to negotiate and enter an agreement with the Lighted Candle for the Homeless Services. Cleve, do you have that report?
Actually, I'm going to ask Mr. Zeller to handle that one
All
tonight,
right.
please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again, Council, City Manager Morris, and Attorney Driscoll. Item 12.2 is a request to authorize staff to negotiate and enter into an agreement with the Lighted Candle for homeless services and storage space for supplies. This, in essence, is about setting up a win-win situation that helps the Lighted Candle assist the homeless population here in Placerville and also help the city by cleaning up campsites. Some background was provided in the staff report on other efforts that we'd had. We know that homelessness is an issue here in Placerville, and there's been several attempts, cooperative attempts that have been made to ease the problem, and they've had differing levels of success. And recently the staff has been working with El Dorado County, including Continuum of Care, to identify solutions to the homeless problem. And an effort that's been implemented is a joint project with the county sheriff known as the Homeless Outreach Team. It's the HOT team. And they have a statement outlining their purpose. They interact with the county's homeless population on an individual level while overcoming the law enforcement barrier between homeless and law enforcement efforts. And they've been very successful focusing on the homeless issue with this mission in place. And there's additional information if you or the public is interested regarding the homeless outreach team on the agenda. So on the discussion point, we have a group, a 501c3 nonprofit named the Lighted Candle, and they've assisted the HOT team by providing services during these events that the county has been holding. And these services have assisted in bridging the gap between the homeless and the needed services provided by the HOT team. Lighted Candle is in need of space to store some supplies for their operation. Their primary project at this time is providing portable laundry services to the homeless, and a storage location would store supplies to support this effort. So we've identified a location off Lower Main Street to place this container. It's actually in a storage container. The agreement would include the following provisions. That would be a month-to-month lease with a 60-day cancellation notice. The lessee, the Lighted Candle, would be responsible for the placement, the maintenance, and the security of the facility. The lessee be responsible for any permits that might be required to keep it there. City would have the right to cancel the contract with or without cause. No operations would be allowed to operate on the site. It would only be for storage, not for any of the Lighted Candle's programs. And no persons would be allowed to camp otherwise or loiter on the site. In exchange for this, the Lighted Candle has agreed to work with the city to provide volunteers to assist with cleanup of the abandoned homeless camps, and I believe that they've already made some strides from some emails we've received from them already. It's worth noting that last year around $60,000 was spent cleaning up camps. So if we can put together a successful volunteer program, the city should see significant savings. So there are a couple of options here. The first would be to authorize us to, staff to negotiate and execute the agreement as it's outlined in the contract or in the staff report. You could authorize staff to negotiate and execute and an agreement with modifications, or don't approve the agreement. And there will be a minimal cost on the part of the city to implement the contract, and no budget impact. So what staff is looking for is authorization to negotiate and enter into an agreement with the Lighted Candle for homeless services and storage space for supplies. And I understand there is a representative from the Lighted Candle that is here to have some input and to take questions.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that report. Is there any questions from the council at this point? All right. I'll go ahead and ask the representative from the Lighted Candle if you please come to the podium and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the project.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Peter Brown. I'm CEO of the Lighted Candle. We're a 501c3, as Mr. Zeller indicated. Our primary focus, what is the lighted candle? Our primary focus is to provide relief to homeless and underserved in El Dorado County. And we've been doing that basically in the Placerville area for starters, rather than countywide, just to kind of get our basis established. We've been doing free mobile laundry service for almost a year now on a regular basis. We had been doing it at the upper room dining hall once on a weekly basis, and some rather spectacular results from this program. We've been able to bridge a number of gaps in relationships with homeless folks, reach some levels of understanding, and try to find some constructive solutions towards minimizing the negative impacts that they may have on the surrounding community, and also furthering their positive steps out of their homelessness eventually. And so to that end, we're also working on additional projects which will shortly include free mobile shower project, both a portable structure that we can set up next to our laundry, and also a mobile one that we'll be deploying with an RV that's retrofitted for that purpose. We have other larger projects in mind down the road, but one of the projects that relates to Mr. Zeller's agenda item specifically is about trash cleanup. We have engaged the local homeless community with the idea that their trash doesn't necessarily need to be scattered around, but for the fact they don't have the resources to buy plastic bags, and they don't have the resources for anybody to collect those bags and take them to the dump. And so we have stepped in that fashion and created a pilot program with trash cleanup with the local homeless in a limited area. We've collaborated with El Dorado Disposal, who provides us free access to dump that trash. And so we are now collecting trash from homeless folks in a few selected sites, and those areas are actually becoming quite clean, quite attractive looking, quite an improvement. And part of the process is not just, I'm consistently asked, are we enabling? And I will tell you, absolutely not. One of the things that we're very focused on is engaging our homeless clients to pay back, to be invested in, to assist with the furthering of their own improvement and the community in which they live. And so part of that is we also have them, we engage them in volunteer work in cleaning up trash in other areas as well. And so this site in particular that Mr. Zeller and Mr. Morris have been speaking with me about is a tremendously trashed area. It's an abandoned, for the most part, homeless camp that is probably the largest we've looked at for quite some time, and it's a massive project. But we have already begun, just because it's what we do, and as a sign of good faith to the city council, we've already begun cleaning parts of that up, bagging the trash in preparation for a larger event that we hope to do in collaboration with the city to make a massive difference, if not totally clean up that site. And when we have that event, when we have that major event to actually field a team of a couple of dozen volunteers, there will be homeless people in those teams assisting for a variety of reasons, but obviously to demonstrate something to the community, to demonstrate something to themselves, and to assist us in bridging some gaps, lowering stigma, and helping to move them towards a better future and improve the environment of the city at the same time. So there's a win-win-win-win going on here.
Thank you. Is there any questions from Peter on the object, on the item? Thank you very much.
Oh,
Wait.
sorry. I always wait till the end there.
That's okay.
Are you able to provide sharps containers to them as well?
We
Do you
will
have
be-
access?
Yes, sir. We'll be working with Placerville Police and El Dorado Sheriffs as far as having sharps containers. We've done this on previous events, and we work in collaboration with them for that. We also have fairly strong waiver forms that we have all volunteers sign in advance. And we have also first aid kits and various other precautions taken, and specific instructions for people not to touch anything that they have any doubts about. We have remote trash pickers, and it's pretty well organized when we do such an event. But in this case, I expect we'll probably be collaborating with some city resources, as well as El Dorado Disposal, Placerville PD, and Sheriff's Office, and/or Sheriff's Office.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have a quick question. Do you have any statistics or information about how many people you've been able to help move beyond homelessness?
We aren't that far along yet, so honestly, there's so many people that have this notion that if you have a homeless shelter here, you can take somebody from here and stick them in there. It doesn't work that way. And we're finding out very quickly that there are a number of steps that you need to accomplish before you can get to that goal, which is our long-term goal. So no, we haven't officially taken anybody out of homelessness yet, but we are building bridges, and we are making, I think, very good progress in that regard.
Thank you.
I have a question. Tell me about the proposed storage unit. I have absolutely no idea location-wise. I wish we had pictures or something to
Sure.
kind of give us an indication of,
I can give you a beautiful mental picture. You've seen the shipping containers are on the back of a big rig that come intermodal they ship overseas, the shipping containers?
Yes.
Okay. Or your typical rental locations where you have your storage. Okay, that's what it is. It's a 45-foot high cube storage container, so it's a big metal box.
where are you going to put it? I mean,
The location, Cleve has found a couple of places.
Yeah, the location that we're recommending is the city property that's down below Kentucky Fried Chicken, I say. We had looked at it, a potential dog park
So
at one
down
time.
below.
Down below, yes,
So
down
it-
below the freeway.
And the freeway and,
Yeah,
okay.
down below
Oh,
on Lower
okay.
Main Street,
Okay.
yes.
If
Yeah.
you're, as far as a visual concern, it's invisible from the roadway.
Yeah, man, I guess I do have a visual concern, also a concern whether it would be vandalized or, anything like that. I mean, is it going to be in
I hope not.
I know, protected so that,
We would have it very well, I mean, if you come, you're not going to break into those containers unless you're awfully determined and well-equipped.
Okay.
If we lock it and padlock it. I hope there's no vandalism problem down there. I'm told that there hasn't been. That it's mostly storage of Department of Transportation resources and barriers and gravel piles and things. So, but we obviously also would be concerned about the security of the items that we have in storage there. And we're hopeful that you will allow us to secure it adequately. Maybe even putting a chain link fence around the container. That would be something we could negotiate perhaps.
so is there other traffic that goes down there to,
Our Public Works Department, I'm looking at Nick, sometimes has some storage of some materials from time to time down there, but not a lot.
That's correct, Cleve. There's some stockpiles of material like gravel and asphalt grains, and there's a little bit of pipe down there. But there's a perfectly level old concrete pad where they can put the shipping container on. It'll work out pretty good.
oh, good.
There's also a pretty heavy duty chains and posts across the top to prevent anybody from driving down there right now.
I'd also like to stress to the council members that this storage facility would not be publicized or visited by anybody other than board members or selected committee members from our organization. This is not something where we would want to be doing any business and where we would want any of our clients to actually know where it is. This would simply be storing donated clothing, soap, laundry supplies, towels, and so on and so forth. That's basically all it will be. So it would be visited by myself or other members of our board, to pick up supplies to take to some event somewhere.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Dennis, did you have a
I
question?
have one more question. Is this a long-term commitment? I realize that we have a 60-day out, but is your intent to be there, as long as you can?
Well, I hope so.
Okay. I didn't know if this was an interim step to when you have another
No.
site in mind. Or
Hopefully
something?
not.
This is okay.
I mean, honestly, we're looking for a positive dating relationship with the city. And,
like that.
and hopefully we prove ourselves to you to where you see that it's a win for you folks. And in return, just the ability to have a place to store our stuff would be just a fabulous thing. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that maybe through a probationary period and you see that we're good tenants, that we can work something out where we can have some security that we don't have to hire a tilt truck or a crane or something to get that container and move it somewhere else real quickly. We'd like to have some stability for our programs.
One question, and actually it's for staff. Is there any liability on our end when we're talking about volunteers? And what prompted me to think about that was just the idea of sharps when you've asked that question. So when we have volunteers coming and going, are there any liability on the city side if they get stuck or they fall down and hurt themselves while they're...
Yeah, we actually would have volunteers that we sign. When we sign up volunteers to work for do things for the city, we run the risk of workers' compensation, liability issues, etc. We will have a release form that Mr. Brown referred to, and we will make sure that is sufficient for our needs also. There are some pretty strict rules that they give them that he mentioned in terms of the volunteers, don't pick up sharps. That's my understanding that they refer those to the public safety officials that are there that can help with things like that. So there are some procedures that we go through. Is a risk? Absolutely, there is. I wouldn't deny that, but we think it's the county has done it in a couple of sites, I believe, outside our city limits, and we've talked to them about it, and we feel that it's something that is an acceptable risk that we should pursue at this time.
Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor?
Thank you.
In that regard, I'd just like to say also that the Lighted Candle does have event insurance. We have $1 million liability policy. And this type of event, I'm told by our agent, is a covered type of event. But even so, we still, for our prior events, have had very stiff, very strict waiver forms that are very clear that if you're coming to participate in this, you're on your own and you understand the nature of it. And these are forms we adapted and adopted from research online with City of Hesperia, for example, was doing similar kinds of homeless camp cleanups, and this was a form that they had used. So,
great. Thank you, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think we have one more question.
I just have one. How long have how long has your organization been active here in town?
We've been in nonprofit business for 2.5 years.
Okay.
We've been actively doing the mobile laundry service for about a year. Prior to that, it was more of an individual getting to know folks at the upper room and elsewhere and finding out the needs. But the mobile laundry was really our first mobilization of an actual organized project with some focus towards it.
Well, from everything I've heard, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I think it's a great start. We
Thank you.
certainly needed to start somewhere and have positive results. So
We're looking to think outside the box
Yeah.
a little bit.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat, I'm going to go ahead and open public comment on this item. Invite any member in the audience who wishes to comment on item 12.2. Please come forward.
Hi, I'm Ruth Michelson, and I just stayed over because I just wanted to give a personal testimony because I have volunteered with the Lighted Candle. I've been to their laundry events, and it's just so wonderful because it's such a way to connect with the homeless on a one-to-one basis, and it's such an esteem builder, I think, for the homeless to be recognized. Pete is such a really generous and hardworking man, really an outstanding person, and he has other people on the board that are likewise so incredibly dedicated. And I think he gives the homeless a certain level of pride in themselves, just that someone is, you know, as we do laundry, there's a pop-up that goes up, someone brings snacks. It's an all-day kind of a thing. It's from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And this trailer has 2 washers and 2 dryers in it. And those of us volunteers are loading the wash and putting things in the dryer. And then we're handing back to the homeless clean clothes. And he also has a bunch of people who are making laundry baskets, laundry bags. So they have their clean clothes in a fresh laundry bag. And it just... And then with this shower idea coming up too, I mean, I think people have to feel good about themselves before they can really re-enter society. And I think that Pete's group is just doing a great, great job. And I can't say enough good things about him. So that's why I stayed to give that testimonial.
Thank you, Ruth. We appreciate you staying over and providing us that information. Is there another member of the audience wishes to address the council on this item? Seeing no one else approaching the podium, I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the council for action. I assume there's no other reviews needed to put a container on this old site?
There is, I was talking to Mr. Rivas, and there will be a permit required that we will work with them on, so.
Very good. We want to make sure that we do that. Are there any questions or comments? Someone would like to make a motion?
I move that we authorize staff to negotiate an agreement with the Lighted Candle.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Brown, we look forward to much continued success. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your patience this evening.